Dear students, let me welcome today's panelist from Five India. I'll begin with the introduction of Sushruth, then I'll go ahead with Siddharu and hand over the session to the panelist. Let me begin with the introduction about Sushruth. Sushruth is an alumnus of prestigious IIT Bombay. He did his bachelor's in engineering from IIT Bombay and then master's in mathematical optimization of complex convex shapes. And he has interned at Mondale's University of Manchester, and he has over 10 years of experience in this analytics and data science domain. And prior to his association with Fibe, he has worked with City, Experian, and EXL. And since April 2024, he's a Deputy Vice President, Data Science and AI at Five India. With this, I welcome you, Sushant.
Thank you, Bhajendra.
Yeah. So let me introduce the person who has facilitated this, Siddharun. So Siddharun is a humanities graduate, and he has spent a good amount of time in social sector during his association with Deshpande Foundation, and currently he is a HR manager, assistant manager HR at Five India. I welcome you, Siddharun.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, so, Sushant, over to you. Please introduce about Five and the role to the students.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll first talk about Fibe, and then basically what data science at Fibe looks like, and then a little bit about what roles and responsibilities data scientists at Fibe would do. Right. So Fibe is basically a personal loan lending company, right? It's a fintech company which uses high-end technology and data science and AI these days to come up with solutions that can help the borrowers get money from us, right? We started in around 2016, so it's been around 8 to 9 years since we started, and currently we have around 6,000 crore of AUM, asset under management, and around 10 lakh of active loans, active customers with us. Right? And in the last 3 or 4 years, we have raised multiple rounds of funding, and uh, yeah, so that's about it. About Five. So to summarize, it's basically a lending company which lends money to the people in need. Okay, so now I'll cover what data science here looks like. Right. So as I mentioned, we are a lending company, right? We get around 15 to 20 lakh applications each month, right? So now, uh, do you think we should give loans to all the customers? So imagine if you are a lending company, if you have your own lending company, you have funds. Would you give your funds? Would you lend your funds to everyone that comes your way? Correct. So I think most of the people have answered correctly, which is no, right? Because most people, a lot of people might not have the willingness or capability to pay us back, right? So we need to decide who are the customers who will pay us back. So basically, who are the less risky customers and who are the more risky customers. So I'm sure you must have studied in your curriculum about classification models, right? So this is a classical, no, the typical use case of this classical machine learning, where we are trying to build a classification model to identify the risky customers among the total set of customers, right? So in your, I think curriculum, you might have heard about a target variable, right? It's one or zero or a good or bad. So similarly, we have a target variable which is a good or a non-risky customer and a bad, which means a risky customer. Right? So we use data from bureau. I'm sure you must have heard about Sibyl, right? So we get all your, all the customers' past repayment behavior from the Sibyl, and this report is then crunched and the data is manipulated to form features, something called feature engineering, right? And that is fed to this classification machine learning problem, which is trained on huge data. right? And the model learns the patterns of how risky customers behave, how non-risky customers behave, and based on that, we make something called a scorecard model, which helps us underwrite or select only the best customers, right? So is this clear? Right? If you go to a simple example, if you go to a bank, right, you would go there and tell them that you want a loan, a personal loan, right? So they would ask you about your requirement, why do you need it, right? They would ask you about your personal, no, about your previous loans. They would ask you about some personal information. They would ask you about your salary, your bank statement, and all that, right? So that is exactly what we do, but in a completely automated way, in a completely digital way, right? If you go to a bank, you give them all your info and all your documents. They would review your profile and come to a conclusion whether to give you the loan or not. Similarly, we take your information online on the app and then tell you whether to give you the loan or not. Right? So this is called underwriting, and the model behind it is called something called scorecard. Right? Right? And as you know, Fibe is a digital first organization. No customer comes in and visits the branch personally to apply for a loan. All the application, all the steps can be done via app, right? So we do exactly what a bank does, but in a much shorter period of time. Right? A bank would typically take a few days to get your application processed. We take seconds or minutes to get the same thing done. Right. So coming to modeling, we built an application scorecard, which is a machine learning model to help underwrite the best customers, the non-risky customers. Right. Now, after the customers have taken the loan on us from us, we look at the behavior, right? How they have repaid our loans, and also in the same time how they have repaid the loans on other lenders. We also get that information, right? So based on this, we again crunched all the numbers of all the performance on our app and all the competitor apps, and then build features to train one more model called a behavior scorecard. Right? So this basically tells us how the customer is behaving after they have taken a loan. Again, it's a classical machine learning model in which the data is taken from somewhere, crunched, features are made out of this, and a target is mapped to it to build, to train a machine learning model. Right. So, are you guys understanding? Is this in line with what you have studied in your curriculum? Right. So as you can see, uh, here we are able to basically use the concepts we learn in school on real life applications. Yeah, correct. Rajul, it's a classification problem. Right. So if you have heard about, if you have credit cards and if you get messages like, your limit is upgraded and you are now eligible for a better loan or a more loan, right? That is basically the result of something called these behavior scorecards. So we'll come about the jobs and salaries later on after we're done with the presentation. Right? All right. So we discuss about scorecards, which are basically models to select the best customers and then to upgrade or downgrade them. Okay. Now, with like I said, Fibe is a digital first company. Like no customer comes in here, so we rely on a heavy amount of automation to get the applications processed. As I also mentioned, we get around 15 to 20 lakh applications each month, right? So, which is why we have built all these frameworks in an automated way, such that customers only have to upload their information and documents on the app, right? We have built the selection models and we have integrated in real time so that 90% of the decision takes place in real time, right? So I'm sure you must have used Python in your curriculum, right? Right. So we use Python to build these automation scripts that can take in the customer inputs real time, make call the scorecard models which I just discussed, and make the decision real time. So in a matter of seconds, the customer knows whether he or she will be getting the loan or not. Right. And as with banks, we also have our KYC, right? And that also is done on the app itself. So as of today, around 50 to 60% of the applications are getting KYC automated. Again, we have written those Python development scripts, right, that come in handy, that fetch the data, apply all the rules, apply all the models, and give the decision real time. Okay. Now um, coming to fraud, right? Yeah, so we'll discuss about Janaya in some time. So coming to fraud, like with any financial institute, right, there's a chance of potential fraud happening, right? So we have seen cases in the past where people are basically committing identity theft, right? They are trying to impersonate someone else. Somehow they have a hold on their documents, they're trying to impersonate them, forge the documents and apply to us, right? And once they get the money, they run away with it and they don't return it, right? So as you can guess, it's a huge loss to the company, right? So for this, we have used computer vision algorithms, right? I'm sure you must have heard of OCR, right, in your curriculum or otherwise. Have you? Anyone? So have you heard of OCR, optical character recognition, or maybe computer vision? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they use the neural network models in the backend, right? So these models are used to build the computer vision frameworks that basically allow us to read the text on your documents, right? So when the customer submits their, it's a bank statement or KYC documents, we are able to read what's written in them in an automated way, right? A human would take time to read all the data manually and make insights out of it, but these models are able to extract the text and therefore read the data in real time. Correct. Once it's basically text extraction from the documents. So we have built these systems that can read the data and also trigger any kind of anomalies. Right? So we have various checks to identify whether the document is an original document or it has been forged. Right? So when a fraudster typically tries to forge something, they leave some kind of blueprints. Right? So let's say the font size is a bit incorrect, or maybe the font itself is a bit different, right? If they are trying to superimpose a photo, maybe the alignment of that is different, right? So this becomes a typical used case study of fraud detection models, right? So in a classification problem, maybe what you have learned in your curriculum, usually the ones and zeros are distributed in a, let's say, 50-50 ratio, right? Or a 70-30 or a 80-20, right? So it's easy for the model to learn and then make a classification model. But in a fraud detection problem, it's basically a 99 is to 1 ratio. Right? A lot of good customers and only a few number of small customers. Right? So it becomes challenging for any kind of algorithm to get trained on the data and also to perform in real time. Right? So for that, we have built fraud detection models which are able to capture the data forgery or the document forgery in real time. Right? And speaking of documents and OCR, once we have got these text extracted from the documents, we can run our NLP models. So have you learned about NLP in your school, in your curriculum? Yes, natural language processing. Right. So now what NLP does is it tries to understand what words, what text has been written, and find the context, to understand what kind of information goes in the good customers and what kind of information goes in the bad customers. Yeah, correct. So it helps us to analyze the sentiment, right? So if it's bank statement, right, you can understand what kind of behavior, spending behavior is the customer showing. Like, are they purchasing constructive things or are they spending too much, right? If I'm having a call recording, right? If I'm having a call recording, I can understand based on what the customer speaks, their sentiment. Are they angry with us? Are they happy with us? You know, what kind of queries they have, right? So all of these use cases are getting solved by natural language processing. Yeah, so auto encoder is one of the techniques we use in the fraud detection bunch, right? And I think running out of time. And to answer one of the questions, so with the coming up of Gen AI in the last few years, we have incorporated the same, right? We have built some chatbots internally, which are able to answer just like an LLM would, right? It helps us answer about things or the queries that people have regarding the systems in the organization, right? So I'm sure you use ChatGPT or Gemini to answer your own questions, right? You feed in the prompt and expect an answer from them. So similarly, we have worked on chatbots, kind of chatbots, wherein you would ask the information about how to handle this customer, what to do about this process, and we get the answer just like a ChatGPT would give you. Right? So we have been able to incorporate that, make our own small LLMs, and build in our own systems. And not only that, not only the standard chatbots, but we've also been able to build some agents, right, which can help us in decision making, right? So maybe earlier we'll have to, some person would have to sit there and understand a whole document. Let's say it's a legal document, and you have to understand the whole document to understand what's generated, who are the two parties involved, what was the date it was executed. But now we have built agents that can run through the whole document and provide all the information that is there in the document in a concise manner. So basically, a typical use case of agentic AI, right? So I think these are all the, I mean, not all, but majority of the work that we do. Work on classification, classic uh, classification problems, ML problems. We work with computer vision. We work on classical uh, machine learning problems. We work with computer vision. We work with natural language processing, and currently we started to use Gen AI and LLMs in our, right? And coming to the job description, we expect the candidates to be well versed with Python and SQL, right? Um, we also use PySpark, but I think Python and SQL is something that we expect the candidates to know for sure, right? We expect them to know basics of machine learning and deep learning, so that it's easy for them to use the data here and build the models. And like I said, we also so typically we use all the algorithms that you've learned, regression, classification, your XGBoost, random forest, everything, and then some knowledge of NLP, right? Let's say count vector as a TF vector as is what we expect, and some knowledge of transformer models that go in the backends of the Gen AI platforms and the LLMs is what we expect. Right? And the typical work would involve using Python and SQL to form all the kinds of models that I have talked about in the last 15 minutes, right? To build normal ML models, to build deep models, to build computer vision models, NLP, and Gen AI models. So I think this should answer all the questions that you have. If there's anything else, you can write in the chat window. Balachandra, is there anything else that I need to
Yeah,
address?
I mean, regarding the salary, I mean, compensation and work location, Siddharud has shared the details in the JD. That's pretty much detailed, and I have posted that.
All right.
Let's skip that part. Uh, uh, just want to know, like, someone joining as a fresher at Fibe, or someone
Mhm.
with 1 or 2 years experience, what would, as a data scientist, what would be their career path? Uh, it's for both of you, Siddharud and Shushant.
Yeah, so I think as a fresher, they'd be expected to work on the, work strongly on the technical side, to use Python to build models. And as we grow, I think around 2 to 3 years, we give them some kind of mentorship roles, to lead the new set of freshers that are coming in, and eventually they become team leaders and so on. And the type of work is basically technical at first, and then it
Okay.
goes to more about stakeholder management and taking in business requirements and working on that. So keeping a firm hold on the models and the technical part of it.
Okay. Thank you for that. And this is for Siddharth, like, although it's a, we have already discussed this, but this is for our students. So, our students, I mean, is it strictly from an engineering background or from any background or career gap? If they have trained themselves properly, they are eligible for this role.
See, mostly when it comes to education, somebody with technical background would be a good fit for us because they have a good knowledge on the technical skills that we're looking for. And anyway, they are trained by OdinSchool, and we believe that they have a good knowledge on these skills. Even though they have a career gap, that would be mainly for this training that they are taking, is what I believe. I guess we are okay with that unless they really match our expectation.
Okay. Fine. Thanks for answering, Siddharth. Okay, let's take few questions from the students. I know I asked you for 15 minutes and it prolonged. Yeah, but this was a very good session, Sushruth. It was
Yeah,
a
thank
kind of, quick lecture on what you guys are doing. Thanks for that. So, guys, please feel free to drop your questions. Okay, apart from eligibility
Somebody,
criteria and CTC process.
I guess somebody is asking for the hiring process. Hiring process would be mainly first will be an assessment where we will give set of questions to. I mean, we will discuss it with Balachand. You will have to go through the assessment, and whoever gets it cleared, there would be technical rounds. That would be 2 to 3 technical rounds, and then HR round at the last. This would be the hiring process.
Okay, and there is a student in the final year of MTech. Is he eligible for the full-time role?
Full-time role, I'll have to figure it out like when he's completing it. Based on that, maybe we can decide.
Okay.
But maybe for now, we can go ahead with an internship if at all he is okay,
Okay.
he or she is.
Okay.
But yes, maybe after the interview only I can give a clarity on it.
Sure. If he is a good fit, you can onboard him as an intern.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fine. Once, hope Siddharth has answered your question. Okay. Guys, we can take few more questions. Vikram is asking, do you encourage using AI tools like Cursor, Code in the development workflow for employees for increasing productivity?
Yeah, yeah, we do. So maybe
Okay.
not the exact names that you mentioned, but so as I mentioned, we are a financial company, right? So we have some compliance regulations. So the models which are fit in our compliance regulations are getting used. But to answer the question, yeah, we are using AI tools to bring in efficiency throughout the company.
Uh,
Location would be
Rakshit,
Pune.
the location has been detailed in the job post. It's Pune.
Yeah, so if there's no engineering background, but someone is strong in their Python, SQL, and machine learning and NLP concepts, they will surely be considered full time.
S6862. Vansh is pursuing MTech. That's why Siddharth has mentioned that he would be onboarded as an intern. But if you're a graduate, if you're not engaged in any kind of full-time education, you'll be employed as a full-time employee, right, Siddharth?
Yep.
Yeah. Fine, guys. We'll have to end this here. Non-technical experience, Charmi is asking.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, if there's non-technical experience, but if they are strong in machine learning or Python development or SQL, they will consider based on the test and interviews. Yeah.
Uh, Thanks a lot, Shashwat, for the detailed session. It was a very good learning experience for all our students and for me as well. And thanks a lot for the panelists for taking out the time and sharing their insights. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Guys, I'm here for if you have any more queries, I'm here to address that. Regarding the application process, as you all know, 12:45 is the deadline. So if you haven't applied, go and apply on the portal. Okay. And whoever is applying, they will receive the one compiler invitation, test invitation. Do attend the test. Okay. And as clarified by the panelist, irrespective of your background, if you're good in terms of the skills, you will be very much considered. And if you're someone who's pursuing a full-time education anywhere, you will be onboarded as an intern. But if you're pursuing any executive education or a distance education, uh, you would be considered for a full-time role, ensuring that your uh, distance education or executive education is not affecting the role. Okay. And if you still have any more questions, feel free to send an email to placements at OdinSchool. We'll be very happy to address that. With this, we end the session and wish you all the best. Thank you.